Good morning. This is Jim Moore, and you are watching Justice for America. Today is June 13th, and this is episode number 48. We're going to be talking today about the taking down of Donald Trump, talking about what's happening in the realm of human trafficking today, and also about AI writing its own Bible. We're going to have a great show today. A lot of information coming out about a lot of things today. So I just want to welcome you, say thank you for joining the program today. It matters to me that, and to others, I think, that you join the program. So there's Linda Etherton. God bless you, Linda. Nice to have you this morning. So as you come on and say hello, and hopefully I'll have enough cognizance to say hello back to you, I want to point you to the way we're laying out the program this morning, because we've got a ton of information. So I've kind of broke it up into three categories today, and there are subcategories to that. And number one, there's my beloved Linda. Number one, there you are. She's my number one. Okay, we're going to have number one scriptures, and then we're going to have number two commentary, and then we're going to have number three links. Now I'm going to touch one and two really quickly because we have a lot of links to share today, and it's super important. I want to say ahead of time, I apologize if I'm clearing my throat and coughing a lot. I have been fighting something. Hey, Dana, there's Dana, for 6 weeks. It's literally 6 weeks. So anyway, we're at the tail end of it. Thanks for praying for us. But I'm not going to take the time to edit those out. So you just have to take me as I am. All right. So I'm going to ask you to do something today. All right. If you're watching this program, you have an interest. I'm going to challenge you to do something that I know many of you have never done up until now. Okay, and you may think you know what that is, and you're probably partially right. I am going to challenge you to make a commitment. Okay, and I believe that I've been instructed to do this. To when this program is over, or even right now, I mean, you could shut this program off, do what I'm about to ask you, and then come back and watch the rest, however you want to do it. But there is a massive amount of important information in the description box of this video. Please do not ignore it. I felt like I was inspired to say, I want to ask you to make a commitment right here as you're watching. If you will do it, say, I'll do it. And then get back to me. Sometimes people think that the moderators of these things, they just know everybody's watching. They don't. They don't. Some of the most famous guys, and I'm definitely not one of them, you'll hear them say, hey, comment, put in the comment box. The reason they're doing that is not just to get more likes, but because we want to know. We want to know that what we're doing has value. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to take a week. Everybody say a week. This week, from this day, Tuesday, till next Tuesday, I want you to go through this list. Okay, I want you to cut and paste it into an email, send it to yourself, or most of you know how to work your notes in your phone. You can do it in that, whatever you want to do it. Print it out, save it in your notes so you have it. Make a little check box by each one of them, and I want you to diligently take the time to go through each. Now, I'm not saying watch, because there's a few long ones in there. You've heard me say this many times. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Usually I get enough where I go, okay, I get what you're saying, and then I move on. But I'm going to challenge you. I'm giving you the 1 week challenge, okay? You got all these challenges, dump spaghetti sauce on your head, eat a Tide Pod, stupid stuff, okay? Here's a challenge worth doing. Hi, Debbie. Take a week. Say, I'll take a week. I'll do it, okay? I trust that Jim's here in the Holy Spirit. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. There's stuff that you need. Now, listen, I know some of the stuff you're not going to like, okay? I don't like it either. Some of it makes me sick to my stomach. And I'm not entertained by it. I don't like it. If I had a choice, I wouldn't ever look at it. But we want to be among those who do the right thing, because we're placed in this world for this season. All right, so there's Kathy. God bless you. All right, so I've broken this up into three things. Again, I want to hear from you. If nobody's going to take the challenge, okay. But I want to hear you say, I'll take the challenge. I want to see you write it right there where I'm looking on the post. I'll take the 1 week challenge. I'm going to cut and paste, copy this stuff down, and then I'm going to look through it throughout the week and pray over it and so on. All right. So scriptures, number 1, commentary, number 2, links, number 3. So number 1, scriptures. The reason this verse is important, I know there are a lot of you who watch who are not Bible believers and so on. That's totally fine. But God still is true, and God predicted, not predicted, prophecy is not the same as a prediction. It might happen, it might not happen. This is absolute. He said, he literally described the conditions that we're in. And when you're looking through these, let's see what Dana says, I'll take the challenge. Come on. Linda says she'll take the challenge. There's 2 of you. Come on. I hope more will do it. What you need to have this in your mind while you're listening to my comments. See, I only have enough time to just briefly comment on each thing. Okay. You lose 90% of it if you don't take this challenge. All right. So anyway, here's what God said about the day you and I live in. He said, why do the nations, King James, heathen, why do the heathen rage? Now, that's an important word. I'm not going to go deep on this, but think about the word rage. What we're seeing is the raging of human flesh right now. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine or plot? That means they're planning a vain thing. Vain means something that will never come to pass. In the end, it will prove to be vanity, and they will regret it, some eternally. The kings of the earth set themselves. That means those who are in power. We're talking about George Soros. We're talking about President Biden. We're talking about all people who are in high leadership positions that, whether you believe it or not, affect the entire population of the planet. Why do they take counsel together against what? A policy, an ideology, a philosophy? God says they're taking counsel against me. Why do they take counsel against the Lord and his anointed? Now, the word anointed is the same word as Messiah or Mashiach. This is the Greek word Christ, Christo. It means Jesus, the Christo, the Messiah. Why are they taking counsel against the Lord and his anointed, his Christ, saying, let us break their bands or their bonds, their restrictions, their rules, their laws, their restrictive parameters. Let us, this is what the leaders of the world are saying. Why does this matter? Because if you see everything as just some kind of a individual sort of crazy sort of thing that's happening, well, these kinds of things have always, no, you need to understand the nature of what's happened. I mean, there are a lot of intricate things involved in each one of these issues. But the big picture, when you take a step back and you look at the big picture, this is what's happening right now. And this, whether people know it or not, is the motivating thing that's happening. So what do the leaders of the world say? Let us, U.S., that's together, let us break their, when it says there, it's talking about the Lord and his anointed, not the world. It's the Lord and his anointed. Let us break their, I'm pointing to heaven, bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. All right, that's all we're going to say on that. Now, what I want to encourage you, not only to know why these things are happening, but to know in the end, it will be vanity. These idealistic things that say we're not going to serve God. Let me just say it this way. I know I'm going to make some of you mad right now. The lines are being drawn according to the will of the Lord. Okay? There is coming a time where there will be only right and left, good and evil. There will only be sheep and goats. That's what God said. That's what God said. He is allowing this separation between light and darkness. Isaiah 60 verse 1. Your light's going to shine, the dark is going to get worse. Gross darkness will cover it. He is doing that for a reason. Okay? Do not allow yourself to become desensitized, not only to the issues, but to the overarching issue of what's and where we're going in the kingdom. Everything that mankind does, individually or corporately, nationally or even globally, that says we don't want this man to reign over us, will one day become the worst of vanity. All right? So I wanted to mention real quick about racism. I don't want to go deep in this, but there's a big question today about whether or not racism is systemic. And it depends on how you interpret systemic. I would say basically the cultural viewpoint and how that is defined by the majority, well, maybe not the majority, but by the masses, and at least by the information controllers, is that everybody's a racist. Okay? Everyone's born a racist. Okay? But they only pick on a few skin colors. Anyway, there is a grain, listen closely to me now, and then I'm going to jump in the links. There is a grain of truth to that. I'm not saying the way it's being postured is true. It's not. Because what the church doesn't pick up and speak truth about, the world will, and it always gets distorted. It always gets completely blown out of proportion. All right? What is the little grain of truth? Okay, the grain of truth is this. We are all born in sin and shape in iniquity. We are born with a tendency to want to dominate. And I wrote this down right here. You can look it up later on. It is in our nature to feel superior, to want to be superior, and sometimes to put other people down, to step on others so that we can feel protected and powerful and well-liked and so on and so on. We see this happen from grade school, okay? Quick story, and then I'll jump into link number 1 because we got a lot of them. Other day I was looking at my dogs. Hey, Steve, my dogs are, I have a dog and my kids have a dog. They are the most loving creatures. They really are. They're actually very, very timid. Their nature is to be loving and caring. I mean, they really are. You have to train them, okay, to be mean. Now, that's not the case. Anyway, so I'm looking out the other day. My dogs are they chase rabbits, they chase squirrels, they'll chase mice, they'll bark at, I mean, there are certain things. So they're chasing a cat the other day. Okay, dogs and cats, arch enemies, right? No, they're not. They're not. Do you know by nature, a dog will chase a cat and sometimes even kill it? However, and this occurred to me the other day, we have cats or my kids do in their home. They have 2 cats. Those dogs have grown up around those cats, and they love those cats. Okay, even the one that's a little bit of a bonehead, they love them. Okay, they're taught to love. Listen, here's the bottom line: when those dogs go out, their nature kicks in, and they chase what they have not learned to love. They dominate, they attack what they have not learned to love. What I'm saying is there is a component of this, and I know it's going to get me in trouble with some of you. I'm going to say it anyway because I'm here to tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear, okay? There is something in us that wants to dominate people, that wants to mock people. You see kids do this. Kids, they're not always taught by their parents to mock other people and to bully other people. There's something in us that wants to do that. That's why our job as parents is to train that out of them, because it's not good. We do have a sinful nature, but we also have the nature of God in us if we have asked him to come and live inside of us. All right. That's point number 2. Now let's go into the links. Okay, you still with me? Everybody okay? If you haven't heard, I'm giving you a 1-week challenge to go through all of these. I want to hear from you if you're going to take the challenge. All right. So today is the day Donald Trump has now been arraigned a second time. I won't get into all the technicalities of it because there are people a lot smarter than me. But here's how it goes. An arraignment is not the same as a conviction. It's not the same as being arrested. Arraigned means you're being charged. Here are the stuff that people are saying. Here's what we're going to attempt to charge you on. And then after that, you have your day in court where you are technically charged and sometimes arrested. Maybe you get bailed and you get out, blah, blah, blah. So second time, you remember weeks ago, right? Probably a lot of people have already forgotten because that's what we do. We go by the news cycles, right? Well, he was arraigned. That has kind of fallen apart, not entirely. Anyway, this is a second arraignment. It's not the same thing. It's a few weeks ago. 37 counts. Now, some of the links I have on here, I think will say like 7 counts because in the beginning the numbers were askew, but 37 counts. It is one more attempt to create a scenario where they put this man in jail. Now, I'm actually not going to go real deep on this because there's a ton of information out there, and I feel like I have more important things to go on today. But today, Donald Trump, just so you know, 3 p.m. Eastern time, so that my time is going to be 2 p.m. Your time in those of you on the West Coast, that's going to be 12 noon. I think I got that right. Will be escorted. He's in Florida. He'll be escorted to a local courtroom and so on and so on. It is possible he would be arrested, but very, very doubtful. I'm going to predict to you that will not happen. Okay. Now, what's it all about? You need to watch the videos. They'll inform you what it's all about. This all goes back to the document issue. Okay. I'm not going to go into all the intricacies of it. I'm really not, because it is such foolishness. It is. I want you to have a mindset of what I believe, and this is my opinion, and I believe there are many, many more people more smarter, more, that's bad English, way smarter than I am, that are saying the same thing. This is really a non-issue. Oh, but he broke the law, he broke the law. Okay, let me just tell you, and this is not rocket science again, none of this would be happening if he wasn't running for president. Or at the very least, if there were people that would have bigger things to deal with. First of all, this has never happened before, ever. There have been many presidents that have done things quite similar, including the current president right now. Why are they targeting him? It's not hard to figure out. Come on. If you still think it's about bringing him to justice, then you're deceived. I'm sorry, you are. You're just not looking at the big picture. And anybody who's willing to tell the truth will say this is a big picture issue. They want to put him in prison so that he cannot run for president because they're scared he's going to win. I don't know if he's going to win. Maybe so, maybe no. The jury, well, I'm not going to say the jury's out of my mind, but I don't feel impressed to say anything at the moment. So this is what tyrants do. They arrest their opponents to keep them from being a significant challenge to their leadership position. This is historic. Now, it used to be, you go back far enough, back into ancient Rome and so on, they just kill their opponent, okay? Just spear, poison, whatever. So we become, I'm not going to say more civilized because I know some of you will freak out. I don't think it's really, but it's easier in a way to bring up charges on someone. Somebody said it this way: you show me the man, I'll show you the transgression. They say that probably some scientist at some point, political scientist, said every human being has probably broke 8 or 9 laws that they could be sent to jail for. Now, I'm not talking about theft and bribery and corruption and all. I'm just talking about there's so many laws. Now, that's what's happening right now. There are many, many worse things that are happening right now from the current standing president of the United States. A mountain of evidence that proves corruption. And so, if you want to find someone to just tell you what you want to hear, they're out there, okay? But if you want to look at the paper trail, the actual evidence, what it says, the documents, yeah. All right. Link number 1 is Donald Trump himself on Truth Social saying, and he's probably not going to handle this well. He doesn't typically handle stuff very well. I'm not he's the Messiah guy. I'm not. I think there's good and bad in him. I do believe this one thing, and I'm going to say this for the record. I want you to hear plainly what I'm saying. I believe his coming into the presidency with all of his difficulties and iniquities and bad behavior was definitely the Lord, because he had a one goal thing in mind. It wasn't to make money. It wasn't, I need to be powerful. He already was that, but it was to stop corruption. I think he evidenced by the way he did what he did, I'm going to drain the swamp. And that's just not some political thing to get him elected. And then, like most politicians, it winds up just being a lie. It's just a statement that you say to get elected, but you never do. No, he actually went about doing it on a global scale, okay? Because the kings of the earth, are you listening? have come together and said, we're not gonna embrace these old-fashioned moral standards that come from God, whether they realize it or not. Okay? And I believe how he did it, right or wrong, good or bad, sensitive or insensitive, whatever. He definitely said, I'm going to stop this corruption and bring things back to the way they should. Okay. And that's why they hated it. That's why all of these guys that loved him, Hollywood, all of them, okay, come to my show. Okay. Immediately shifted. Why? Because he says, I'm going to stop this. Okay. Now, I believe that's what's behind. So I've got 3 or 4 of these. Here's number 2, a legal expert. Many of you have heard about Alan Dershowitz. He is a Harvard Law School professor, Demetrius. He says that he does not see how the department. Now, realize this is the DOJ. This is not just some guy out there doing this. This is and maybe you haven't grasped a hold of this yet. This is the Department of Justice. Okay, coming after this guy for the very same thing that they won't come after other people for. Well, why would they do that? Well, because they hate him and because they don't want him to win the president, period. Okay? All right. So this Harvard School law professor says he does not see how the administration, the DOJ, can throw charges at a candidate running for president basically in order to replace him. And this is a quote, unless this indictment is the strongest case since former President Richard Nixon's obstruction of justice back in the 70s, it is a disgrace, he stated. Okay, listen to him. It's not just some Donald Trump lover. He's saying this is the law. Okay, all right. And then you're going to, number 3 is Mark Levin. Anybody ever heard of Mark Levin? I would say next to Michael Savage, he is the most angry man that is on the right, that is trying to, and I get it. I'm not going to criticize him. That's not me. It's not how I do it. I think it's counterproductive in the end. I think you need to rein yourself in. You need to speak to it. Anyway, I'm not going to get into how he says it. I just want to warn you ahead of time, because if you watch Mark Levin, he is like red-faced, about ready to give himself a thing. But he speaks what he is saying. If you will listen really closely to what he is saying in the first 3 minutes, you will learn. You will understand. Okay, here's the skinny. Here's what's going on. All right. Number 4, many of you know Judge Janine Pirro, another one who in this particular case, I'll tell you, so many people are just getting fed up with this stuff. They're getting fed up enough to they're saying, why is it that we can't seem to do anything about it? Why is it that those in power are getting away with murder? Now, I don't mean they're out killing people, although, yeah, I'll stop right there. You get what I'm saying? And I know some of you felt the same frustrations. You sit and you watch the news and you go, dear God, why is it that nobody can stop these people? Why is it that no one can stop these people? And so Judge Janine gets pretty upset too. These are not tame videos, okay? That's all I'm saying. Number 5, excuse me, number 5, and this will be the last one, on the day. Now, this is a hugely important one too. I know some of you like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Some of you don't. I don't really care. Like I said before, I'm not looking for a personality that, I just love this person. No, I want someone who will tell me the truth. I don't care if I don't like them. I don't care if I don't like what they say. I want to hear the truth. I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the few. There's like the rhinos out there that are basically, rhino stands for Republican in name only. Then there's a smaller group who actually are really, pretty committed to want to see truth come out and things change for good. And then there's a smaller, it kind of reminds me of the disciples of Jesus, even though I'm not saying that's what they are. But, he's got the masses, and then he's got the 70, and then he's got the 12, and then he's got the 3, and then he's got the 1. I don't know where she fits, but I think she's more like in that smallest of groups of guys who are saying, I'm going to lay my life down to turn this crazy around. Because I think, okay, I'm going to make a big statement again. Are you listening? Somebody say amen. Here's what I believe. I have investigated way more than I've ever shared. And here's what I've learned. Things are way, way more corrupt than the vast majority of the public would ever be able to understand. I'm not meaning they're too dumb to understand. I just mean we don't know. What has been uncovered is literally the tip of the iceberg. When this thing is ended, because Jesus says he's going to reveal everything. Everything that's hidden is going to be revealed. That ought to scare the bejeebers out of some people, okay? And it ought to cause you and I, if we have hidden things, to repent of them, okay? Okay, anyway, when this is all over and everything has finally come out, I think the humility that it's going to shock the planet. It will, and I'm not talking about some thing that some group is doing and they're going to get this big reveal. I don't know that I believe in that. I really don't, because I think it had been done already. But here's what I do believe. Please don't comment on it, please. Okay, just hold your opinion. Okay. This is my show. It's the Lord's show. Anyway, there's way more. God himself will use people, I believe, people, before he returns to reveal a vast amount of this. And I do believe this will be part of what moves the planet to full-scale renewal and revival. I do believe there's coming a revival on the planet that will make everything else that's ever happened that we've called a move of God or revival just look like this. Just look infinitesimally small compared to what's coming. But I believe one of the things that's going to trigger that, okay, is the massive amount of humility that will arise when people begin to see the grossness, and I'm going to get into some of this stuff in just a minute, that what's actually happened in the world that we have been blind to, that those in the higher echelons who continue to do these things because they were 100% sure it would never come to light, it's going to shock the world into humility. Okay? So let's talk about it. Here's the subject we don't want to talk about. May I appeal to your sensitivity for just a moment? My wife made a statement. I've shared this a number of times. I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating. Linda said the other day where she said the enemy, okay, there's a real Satan. He's real. He's not he's not a hypothetical thing to, represent all of evil. No, no. He's a real person. If Jesus is a real person, so is the enemy. Okay? Satan is coming for our children. He's not just coming, he's currently engaged. If you don't see that, God help you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If you cannot see how far this thing is gone and how our children are being, you're going to see things, and this is one of the reasons I'm asking you to take this challenge. You're going to see and listen to things. And some of these links, I think you should listen all the way to the end, even if it takes you all week to do it. You're going to see things that are going to make you sick to your stomach. And I don't mean pictures. I don't mean that. I mean hearing things. Things like breeding. I know you hate them. I'm talking to you. I know you hate them. I know they disturb you. I know you don't you want to watch puppy dogs and babies and army sergeants coming home to their teenage daughter. I get it. I really do get it. The most popular videos on the internet are the feel-good things. And I love the feel-good things. I really do. I spend a lot of, I love watching them. I really do. I need to feel good too. But I am not going to refuse to hide my head or to put my head in the sand. Who was it? Bonhoeffer said, to be silent in the face of evil is evil itself. Evil. To him that knows to do good and doesn't do it, that's the evil, the Bible says. To be silent in the face of evil, to walk out in the street and see someone assaulting someone and turn around and go the other way because you don't like it, because it makes you feel bad, that the Bible says is evil. It's not just like, oh, I understand you don't like it. No, he says it's evil. It's evil. And how can we be salt and light in the world if we're not even aware of what's going on? Because some preacher has told us it's not the gospel. Jesus said they wouldn't have hated me if I hadn't told them their sin. So apparently he was willing to expose. And then again, it goes on later on to say, do have no fellowship. Okay. Doesn't mean be ignorant of. It says have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them, expose them in many translations. So you do have an obligation. All right. Let's look at number one. This first one is a thinker. It starts out talking about our children's mental health. Okay, I'm not going to go deep in this. Why are kids having a crisis of mental health? Because we've allowed it to happen. I'm sorry. I know you're going to get mad at me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's our fault. We let the internet come into our home. We let everything that you can possibly imagine that you don't want to think about, a kid can find in 5 minutes on their phone. It's on Reddit. It's on the black sites. It's on Google. It's on Instagram. Anything they want to see, the most barbaric to the most sexual, it's on there. And we're the ones that let it happen, okay? Let's quit blaming the devil. The Bible says we're the salt of the earth. We are the light of the world. It is on us. Okay, so not trying to make you feel condemned. That's past. What matters now is that we're informed, that we're praying, and that we're making our voices heard. Some of these things, the only thing that's holding them back right now are people that are doing this. You ought to thank God for some of these people that are posting this stuff on the internet, whether it's reading material or whether it's videos. You ought to thank God, because I'm telling you this, still much of the church is not doing it. We have failed in our responsibility to do this, to expose the darkness. So God raises up people who maybe don't even know the Lord who will do it, because God is more determined than you and I are. Come on, somebody say, Jim, that's good preaching, because it is. It's the truth, and you know it is. All right. The first one is a reader. It's from the American Thinker. This is one that I think is really good. So the reason our kids are troubled mentally is because of the information that's coming to them. It's really, and there is COVID, and there is being drug induced. Okay, it's all in there. Read it. Okay, here's one of the hard ones. Are you ready? Some of you are going to want to leave right now. I hope you don't. I hope you don't. I hope you know my heart about this. I don't want to take a lot of time talking about me, but I hope you know my heart on this. My heart is not just to, here's Jim giving a whole bunch of bad news. That is not my heart at all. But I believe I am alive. Maybe you're not. I'm alive in this world right now to be a witness for the righteousness of God, the love of God, and the purity of God, and the salvation and the whole, all of it, all of it, all of it. I don't cherry pick the one I like the most and then just disregard the rest, and you shouldn't either. Come on. Somebody, I'm preaching better than you're shouting. Okay. Number 2. I want you to take the challenge. Take this week and look at every one of these, every single one of them. And I want to hear from you next week. So I looked at every one of them. If you're going to take the challenge, there you go, Deb. Thank you, Deb. I know not everybody will. I know. Sometimes I feel like it's in vain to even ask, but it's important. All right, number 2, Mark Zuckerberg, guilty of allowing sites that promote pedophilia. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty of it. Let me just say something real quick. The reason these men and women, I'm not just picking on him, because it's a lot of them out there. The human trafficking industry itself, human trafficking, $34 billion a year. The pedophilia, like the child pornography industry, I don't even know how many billions, hundreds of billions a year. Greater than all the sports things combined. I mean, it's just insanity. And the cry that should be coming from the church ought to be so loud that it shakes the earth. And we're still using the gospel as an excuse not to say anything. And I don't believe in putting shame on people, but sometimes I just feel like shame on us for not doing this. All right, anyway, let me read this. Zuckerberg's Instagram helps connect. Now, this is out of the Wall Street Journal, of all things. Ultra liberal, one of the most liberal leftist sites on the planet is now saying this. So Zuckerberg's platform, Instagram, helps connect, listen close, helps connect and promote a vast network openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content. Let me read that again. Zuckerberg's Instagram helps to connect and promote a vast network that is openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content, which ultimately leads to the abuse of your kids, of children. You see, the idea that pornography somehow is a victimless crime is a lie hatched from the pits of hell. It's not victimless. It does not leave its tentacles only in the person looking at it. It goes deeper and deeper. All right. The Wall Street Journal investigation found that certain, okay, please, you're not going to believe this, but it's true. Okay. Again, when it reaches a liberal bastion like the Wall Street Journal, okay, we're so far down the line that even these guys are admitting it because they refuse to say anything bad for a long, long time. But now the Wall Street Journal has done an investigation, and by golly, we should all believe it because the Wall Street. Okay, come on. The reason we have the information outlets we have right now is because God put them there so that we don't have to be stupid. Okay. All right. The Wall Street Journal investigation found that certain emojis, you know what emojis, a little face, this, that, certain emojis function as a type of code to pedophiles, such as an image of a map. Okay, on some of these Instagram platform or pages, people's pages, they might have an emoji of a map. Why? Because MAP stands for minor attracted persons. I remember hearing this, I don't know, years ago. It's like, oh, conspiracy, it's all a big. I'm so tired of people being dumb. I really am. All right, so a map, okay? I know it's horrifying, isn't it? You should be horrified. You shouldn't be okay. If you can hear this stuff and be okay with it, you're in big trouble. Okay, we cannot be desensitized. All right. Another emoji is the pizza. You probably heard about this, Pizzagate, all these different things about pizza. Okay. It's turned out that it's actually true. Who knew that? What happens when all your conspiracies become true? Anyway, so one of the emojis of a cheese pizza stands for cheese pizza. CP stands for child pornography. All right. So this one you should watch and read it all the way to the end. Number 3. So how many would be shocked if I told you in the state of Ohio last year, pause for effect, I just want to make sure you're listening. Hey, Mike, how many would be shocked if I told you that last year in the state of Ohio, in the public school system, I tell you, our public school systems are rotten to the core. I know that for most people, it looks impossible to take them out, but I'm telling you, you need to question if you're willing to get a small apartment, dial down, sell your cars, do whatever the heck you have to do to get your kid out of these cesspools of wickedness and iniquity. And I am not gonna tone down my language on this. The most vile things that you can imagine are happening right there, and your kids, and you are subjecting your kids to that. I don't care if it makes you mad at me, it's still the truth. Would it shock if I said last year 352 teachers were arrested for sexually related charges? Where's the outcry? Where are people freaking out in Ohio? Maybe they are. I'm not judging them specifically. So this link is just a concerned mom, and thank God we're seeing more and more of this. Way, way more needs to be done. She stands up and she addresses the school board, and she talks about a number of these issues. She talks in one about recipe cards for sex. This is okay. If you're not awake to this, yeah, I just don't know what to say. Yeah, maybe my job is done. I don't know. They're giving out recipe cards to your kids. I would not. God is my witness. I don't care what I would have to suffer. I would not tolerate that. Not for one day. Not for one day. And if you do, I don't know what to say. Okay? All right. Not trying to be mean. Number 4. Here's a quick one. I'll just go through this real quick. But there are actually entire countries now that are banning this idea of transgender care. Okay, let me just dissect that. Compassionate transgender care that's a huge, I mean, let me just say this, okay? I'm going to take the opposite side for just a second because I know you're smart enough to handle it. People who are transgender do need care. That's for sure. Okay. The kind of care they need is up for grabs. First of all, they need parental care. They probably need a social work, not a social worker, but a counseling care. Okay. They do need care. But this has become a catchphrase to mutilate their genitalia. I'm sorry if that offends your sensibilities, but it must be said. They are cutting their kids, and parents are letting them do it. And our president has said the whole country has to be okay with this. Are you listening to me? Now, I will say this, that I'm honoring the fact that even though I believe his presidency is destroying people, from the 85,000 kids who they've lost track of and are being human trafficked into forced labor and sexual exploitation in the most barbaric ways that I can't even say. I can't even say it on this program. I cannot even tell you exactly what happened. You would freak out if I told you. Okay? This cannot stand. It will not stand forever. I do not promote violence. I do not believe there needs to be some kind of a rising up. But I'm telling you, if God doesn't intervene, we're toast. Okay? I'm not exaggerating here. Okay? So, this particular video, number 5, or excuse me, yeah, number 4, the transgender. Here's the point. There are whole countries now that are waking up and saying, how could we be so stupid? No, absolutely. The state that I'm in right now, Texas, has banned this. It's never going to be okay, says the governor, Abbott, who I believe is a hero, for this to be okay. It's not going to be okay. You see, well, I just don't believe in getting involved in politics. What a foolish statement. I'm sorry, I love you, but it's a foolish thing. So you're going to let somebody make a law where your kid can go down, your pre-teenager can go to school and hide it from you, and the teachers are complicit and get a sex change without your permission or even your knowledge, and you don't want to get involved in politics. It's insanity. And this is how far it's gone. All right, so number 5, let's skip to that. Here's another example of this, and all of these really have to do with our kids. I know these are more shocking than most. Today, these are explosive, as they like to say in the industry. Okay, let me tell you about this one. In Arizona, there is a governor. Her name is Katie Hobbs. I believe she stole the election. I'm not an election denier. I just believe that election fraud has happened. Are you listening to me? And probably at least 99% every single election that's ever happened on the planet. Okay. So you're an election denier. I don't deny elections. I deny the idea that there's not fraud in every single election. Okay. Why does that happen? Well, because sometimes it works. Okay. Don't insult my intelligence by saying there's no such thing. Okay. Or calling me some stupid name that you think of. I'm sorry. Okay. I believe she stole the election. All right. Yes, corruption. So if that makes me whatever. All right. But here's something this illustrious governor, who is a radical in every sense of the word, and I believe very dark person. Anyway, here's the backstory. Let me read it to you. After 2 teachers in Lake Havasu City, I've been to Lake Havasu, it's a beautiful place. After 2 teachers in Lake Havasu City lost their jobs for making explicit, I know you're not going to believe this, but hear me out, making explicit content on school grounds. Now, I know none of you have ever been to the website, what's it called, OnlyFans. I have not, but I will tell you, I know what it is. It is a pornographic website. I don't care what they call it, blah, blah, blah. What it basically is a website where people can become their own purveyor of pornography. I'm telling you, things are so much further down the line than you realize. What once was a whole bunch of decent human beings have now decided that it's a-okay and God loves me and it's empowering. And now we're talking about every age group. And most of this is females, not all of it. I'm not picking on our women folk. I'm just saying it mostly is from the elderly, okay, to the very young. Here's my porn site. Here's my personal little porn site that you can go to. Now, why am I saying that? So Jim, you seem to know an awful lot about it. Well, I have read quite a bit about it, okay? It's disgusting, it's immoral, and I hate it. Teachers, trying to get your attention. Teachers, okay, in Arizona, because they have so convinced themselves that they are not accountable and nobody will call them on the carpet. Nobody, no aggravated, angry preacher. Well, we're not supposed to get angry, we're not supposed to get angry. That's a lot of baloney. Come on. That's deception. It really is. I'm sorry. It just is. That idea is why we're at where we're at today. Somebody say amen. That idealism is why we're at where we're at today. Nobody's going down there and freaking out about this, and they should be. Teachers used their classroom to film their own personal pornography. It's not a joke. It's not hearsay or a conspiracy. I hate that word. Okay? It is absolute fact. Now, what they attempted to do, I'm running out of time. What they attempted to do, you know what? I just might go over today. I just might, because I'm not going to not talk about this stuff. What they attempted to do after it's great that they lost their job, right? This probably has gone on way more than we realize. I think way more goes on in the classroom than we get. We just kind of blindly, stupidly send our kids off and, oh, it's okay, and I'm sure it's fine. And by the way, I can't afford to do anything about it, so my comfort level is more important. Woo! Somebody! Come on. My comfort level is more important than my kids. Let's just say it the way it is. All right. Jim, you're so judgmental. Come on, somebody needs to get up and say, yeah. They tried to make a law. Now, can you imagine that we even have to make a law about this? So certain people rose up and said, hey, we got to have a law. Can you imagine 20 years ago? We need to make a law that teachers won't make pornography in their classrooms. I mean, people would have said, what kind of crazy, insane alien person are you? That's the day we live in. Katie Hobbs vetoed that law. That woman ought to go to jail. That woman ought to go to jail. Let me ask you this real quick. Those of you who are defiled at my statement, let me ask you this. If you were homeschooling, or let's say you were having a teacher come in and tutor your child. Let's say you hired a teacher to come in and tutor your child at home for whatever reason. And you found out when you were away, that teacher was making pornographic videos in your home. What would you do? Would you just go, oh, so big? No. You'd have her arrested. You'd have her charged. And if somebody in the judicial system said, oh, it's okay. No, that's problematic. We don't want to make a law about that. You think you'd be okay with that? No, you wouldn't. See, I've said this many times, and it's important to remember this. We typically do not become righteously incensed enough until it touches us personally. Okay? And then we'll get up from our places of our platforms, whether it's at the internet or the pulpit or wherever, and we'll discuss it like it's some kind of an ideology that we shouldn't comment about. All right. So look at that one. A couple of them about that. Number 6, and I'm going to try to end up here pretty quick. Number 6. Actually, that's about the same thing. And that I put in a little comment here from, okay, let me read it real quick. One of the person that wrote the bill to try to get the law made, here's what that person said, and I'm quoting. It's absolutely sickening that Katie Hobbs is allowing pornography to be filmed in our state's taxpayer-funded classrooms. Okay, somebody ought to be saying something about this. These should be safe spaces for our kids to learn in. I can't even believe we're having this conversation. Not venues for the sexually explicit adult entertainment industry. No 12-year-old child No 12-year-old child should ever have to worry that their middle school desk, I'll tell you, I would raise Cain. I would raise Cain. I'm telling you, I would. Their middle school desk was the location of a porn shoot. Yet, because Governor Hobbs's actions, this is precisely the case. There is no current law which gives permission to other people when there's not a rule. I know we don't, we hate rules. Rules are bad. No, they're not. Come on. Hobbs should be ashamed of herself, and every parent in the state of Arizona, and I'm going to say the United States of America, should be outraged. Should Christians be outraged? Oh, no. No, we're never supposed to be outraged. This is a despicable use of government resources. Okay? And there should be legal repercussions. All right. Number 7. There was a brawl that erupted. This happened recently when, again, a school board decided that it was okay to turn the school in the month of June into Pride Month. And they're going to just not only celebrate wickedness, but they're going to promote it in every way possible. And isn't it interesting? The only ones that had the guts enough to stand up and do something about it was the Muslim community. When they went down and they protested and they said, not on our watch. Now, I'm not saying there weren't some bad actors among the Muslims. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I do know about these things. You know what happens every time someone tries to have a peaceful protest and go out and raise their voices and say, this is wickedness? Do you know what happens? Antifa shows up. Well, you don't know that for sure. Absolutely. Yes, I do. I've been there. I've been at them. That's what happened here. Antifa shows up in their garb and covering their faces, and they agitate and they provoke violence because they want a bad reference on it. Okay? So because they know what the media will do. You know what the media will do? They won't go, hey, Antifa showed up and stirred up trouble. No, they'll say, all these teachers and all these conservative, and they'll pick out the one or two that got the stupidest, craziest, banners out there. God hates everybody. That, you know what I'm saying? And they'll look at those guys as the example. Look at these crazy moms and dads. Look at these crazy. Come on, you got to get smarter than this. All right, so that's all I'll say about that one. Number 8 is basically the same thing. Number 9. Are you still with me? I want you to take the 1-week challenge. If you're just tuning in, take the 1-week challenge. I want you to watch every single one of these. And then next Tuesday, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I want you to tell me what stood out to you and your impression of them. That's the 1-week challenge. I've never done a challenge before. Okay. Number 9, redacted. Now, Jim, quit clapping your hands. Okay, I'll stop. Maybe. Mel Gibson. This would be my one and only. If you can't bring yourself to cutting and pasting all of these and saving them in your phone or wherever, printing them off and going to every single one of them, if you can't do that, this is the one I'd say of everything else that you must watch. It's funny because this is the guys that I kind of get a little upset with because I feel like they get a little potty mouth. So we've talked about the new movie that's coming out. Please don't not watch it. Okay. I bought a ticket for me and my wife. Apparently there were some free tickets put out. They're probably gone by now. This is the one. I forget the guy's name. Maybe somebody can post it on right here. His name is Tim somebody. He's an ex-military guy who quit his job, quit everything to chase down bad guys. We're chasing down again. Here's my belief. If you were to sit down with this man, you'd probably throw up if you heard the things he said. Like I said, I can't even repeat them. I can't. I just can't. Okay. I believe, well, what this is saying, and I've heard this from a number of venues, this gentleman that comes on redacted says you're going to start hearing the media badmouth Mel Gibson again, because Mel Gibson, there's like a trifecta that's going on right now, and I'll probably talk more about this later. But the trifecta is, first of all, you see, these are answers to prayer. Some of you and I have been praying for years that God will expose this stuff, and it's starting to happen. Don't check out now. But the first one is the Sound of Freedom, Jim Caviezel doing the movie. That's the one I bought tickets for it. You should see it. Number two, there's another movie, and these are coming out through Angel Productions. If you don't know anything about them, inform yourself. Um, about, oh gosh, what's it called? It is about the man. Okay, so I don't want to lose you here, but listen real close. The movie Sound of Freedom that stars Jim Caviezel, he is playing the real person, Tim, whatever his name is. Okay, somebody got his name? Who now, this Tim guy is also movie number two, making one, I forget what it's called. Something about, oh gosh, I don't remember. Then there's another film that's coming out. Let's see. No, the first one is Sound of Freedom, Steve. The second one, you'll have to look up the guy. When you look up the guy's name, Tim, whoever he is, you'll find his website and the name of the movie. Anyway, that movie is slated to come out later on. The third one is going to be, and I don't know if I have the second two in order. Mel Gibson is rumored, and I think it's more than a rumor, he's going to do a 4-part documentary. I'm going to tell you this. Pray for Mel Gibson. I believe, and I know some of you are going to think I'm just being crazy, I believe he could lose his life. There have been people that have literally disappeared for less than what this man is about to do. If he does what I think he's going to do, some of these guys are getting up in years and they're going, I'm not going to go out with blood on my hands. They know, I'm telling you, Hollywood is the purveyor, is the mother. I'm not saying technically the Bible verse, listen to what I'm saying closely. The mother of prostitutes, the mother of sexual immorality, the mother of child trafficking, sex trafficking, the mother of pornography, the mother of all that has to do with sexual wickedness is Hollywood. I'm telling you, when everything comes out, you're going to know that that's the truth. We have vomited out perversion into the whole world. And I believe Mel Gibson is about to share names. Okay, you need to pray for this man. If this is what he's going to do, I pray that he goes through with it. I pray that God preserve him. I'd hate to see him disappear. So we need to pray. This particular link, number 9, under this section, please, you need to watch this one. And the guy that's doing the video, he literally has to stop because he starts to get like sick to his stomach. And you know what? It should make us sick too. Who wants, everybody raise your hand who wants to get sick to their stomach. Said nobody ever. Number 10. Remember Jeffrey Epstein? This is a quick one I'll go through. Jeffrey Epstein, guilty as sin. Guilty as the devil in hell himself. You know why these guys get away with this? Because they know they can. You know why they keep doing it? Because they know they can. You know why elites and heads of state and movie stars and people who are sports figures, his list of clients, and trust me, most of them went to have sex. That's it. They did not go to his island just to have he had his own little fantasy island that he pretty much could guarantee nobody would ever get caught. You know what happens when you think nobody will ever get caught? You give yourself permission to do the unthinkable. And that's what these leaders, we're talking about kings. We're talking about presidents. So remember him? You ever wonder why they have his list of clients? They have all of them. Why aren't they saying anything? Because of the power structure. Okay? Because I'm going to be careful how I say this because I want to make sure I don't go overboard here. Some of the very people who would expose this are themselves guilty. Okay? All right, that's all I'm going to say. So look at that one, number 10. Number 11, there are a lot of companies right now that are just falling in line with the woke thing. This is the whole go woke, go broke. I'm not even going to talk about that. The next, that's all for that section of the children. The next one is, I also believe super, super important right now, but I'm kind of out of time. This is about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Here's what I'm coming to a kind of a preemptive conclusion, and that is that I'm beginning to think that the system of the beast is really about, if you go all the way back to the garden, God gave us a hint. And the hint was the knowledge of good and evil. Right now, we are in the information or the knowledge age. The Bible says in the last days, knowledge will increase, and so on and so on. I think that we are going to make God in our image. We're going to make, okay, what did God do? God created man in his image. What are we doing? We are creating a new kind of human that is a combination of robotics and transhumanism and chips. One of these things is Glenn Beck is talking about how um, this is advanced, how AI has advanced now to where it's in its 20s. You have to watch it. There's a guy by the name of Noah Harari, a Jewish man, who is the guy who counsels all the big names, all the guys that are global. You know, when we say global elites, they really are. Okay. That's one that you ought to watch. Number 3, transhumanism. Would it shock you if I told you that Elon Musk has been given permission now to do trials? It's not a conspiracy. It's not hearsay. It's a fact. He's talking about it. He's been given permission by the USDA. Is it USDA or FDA? I think it's the FDA, to drill holes in people's heads and put chips in there. You know, if it could heal blindness, that's kind of hard to be upset about that. If it can heal someone who's paraplegic for 20 years, I mean, how do you get mad at that? It's not about that. It's about the potential for control. All right. I'm just going to have to leave it there. This would be one of the most stunning. Okay. I'm trying to do this quickly, but I got to talk about this. So there's 2 that I'd say you have to watch, the redacted one and this one. This is for those of you who will not take the week challenge. This would be the number 2 one. Do yourself a favor and watch this. This is the most stunning video that I have seen to date about AI. Here's what it is. AI writes its own, it doesn't write this. Okay, that's a different one. AI writes a sermon about its own involvement in the last days. You will be shocked. I guarantee you, you'll listen to this with your mouth open. So AI, using the book of Revelation, writes about its own involvement in the last days. And I think it is the clearest statement of the potential dangers of AI. Because I think, like anything, there's some good that can come out of AI. It's not all evil. Come on, come on, come on. I know some of you are going to go, it's all evil. No, it's not. Okay? The telegraph wasn't all evil. The telephone was not evil. The television was not all evil. The internet is not all evil. And AI is not all evil. But it definitely carries the potential to destroy, some people even believe, humanity as a whole. Okay? And maybe usher in the last days, the Antichrist. I mean, okay. I'm just saying. If you don't watch anything else, watch this one. Number 5, meet the company that's using AI to monitor your social media posts. That's all I'm going to say. There was one in there about the possibility of the AI writing its own Bible. Oh, that was Noah, excuse me. Seems like I always kick this thing at least once. Noah Harari was talking about AI being able to write its own Bible, make its own perfect religion. Okay, I'm going to say I don't believe that can happen. I believe that will happen. Okay, it's just a matter of time. And then at the very last thing, global food takeover. They're actually coming out now. John Kerry has come right out, and I'm just going to quote and then move on. But here's what he says: farmers must stop growing food in order to meet climate goals. There's my clap again. John Kerry, who is a spokesman for climate change under the authority of the president, says, hey, you farmers in the world, you must stop growing food. Because we cannot meet our crazy, insane, demonically inspired climate agenda unless you stop growing food. You wonder why all these places are blowing up and why they're catching on fire and why the next one in Ireland, they're so crazy, they're going to butcher, they're going to cull not butcher for food. They're going to kill 200,000 cows in order to meet their climate deadlines. Okay, I got to stop. Then I've got some things, criminal family at the helm, secret UK government agency that is spying on its people. Oh God, I knew this was going to happen. I'm going to have to go and download my stuff someplace where I have fast internet because this is going to take a while. Transgender man, breast implants, is invited by the president to come to our state capital. I'm telling you right now, at some point, God's judgment will fall. I guarantee you, at some point it will fall. I'm not being crazy. It's just true. Okay, they fly the flag, the LGBTQ flag, between the United States flag and something else I forget, illegally. It's actually illegal to do that. You cannot fly any other flag up as high as it's just literally against the law. Whether you think it's good or bad, that's not the point. Okay, big banners, 200 LGBTQ activists, transvestites, whatever, all invited. This one guy, who's a celebrated icon in that community, rips his shirt off to show everyone his man breasts that are supposed to be lady breasts. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And there he is standing next to the president. Just got this big old Cheshire grin on his face. Dear God, how long will we excuse wickedness and say it doesn't matter? Anyway, then there's a one about global control, and that's the end. So thank you for tuning in today. I know this went over a little bit. I try to keep it under an hour because then it takes a long time to download. I hope you'll take the challenge. Let me end by asking you for this challenge one more time. I'm going to challenge you to say, okay, Jim, this week, I'm going to cut and paste these. I'm going to get the checkbox. I'm going to go through every one of them. I'm not saying watch everyone all the way to the end because a couple of them are really long, but some of them deserve that. And get yourself informed. Allow your heart to break as it breaks the heart of God. Come on. Quit saying you want to be like Jesus, but you don't want your heart broken like Jesus. Come on. I've never been the guy to pat these things around. I had one preacher saying, well, you're just radical and we love you. Whatever. Anyway, I want to talk about me. Allow your heart to be broken the way it breaks the heart of God. Take it to God. Amen. All right. Love you guys so much. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today. I do deeply care about all of you and pray for you. Please hold back. If I delete any of your comments, I don't do negative comments, period. Okay, people come on and they'll rail about this and rail about that, and they'll just, you start going a little cray-cray and trying to use this program as your means to tell everybody what you think everybody needs to hear. Okay, that's my job, okay? If you want to do that on your thing, go for that. And stuff that's hateful and mockery, no, I don't do any of that. I just don't. Because I answer to God for this, okay? So if that happens, I'm not mad at you. I don't not love you. But, okay, I want you to be able to express yourself, but in a decent and righteous and godly way. Amen? In a civil way. Amen. Love you guys. God bless you. As always, give yourself permission, even in the midst of all this,